of us are present.
Okay, now that I hear.
And I also see that Dottie Durst is a participant, so it's good. And the meeting has just been recorded. It's good. And I see Orla is a participant as well. Good. All right. We have a few sets of minutes to approve. An email went around to members of the Board of Finance earlier today. I believe it was earlier today, with a bunch of minutes. So we'll start off with February 20th. I'll entertain a motion to approve the February 20th minutes. Someone on the Board of Finance want to make that motion?
I'll make a motion on that.
So Jim has the motion. I'll second it. So that's the February 20th, 2020 regular meeting, February 20th, 2020. Is there any changes to those minutes? Any changes to those minutes?
Not that I saw.
All right, so just want to make sure that Board of Finance members are not muted at this time. Looks like Steve might be muted. Looks like Rhonda might be muted. Just so that I can take a vote, looks like Rob Mann might be muted.
Yeah,
Just so I can
I'm
take a
muted.
vote on.
Aaron,
Good
can you
deal.
hear me?
I can hear you, Rhonda.
Okay, I'm on my phone as well because last week I
Terrific.
had technical difficulties. So I'll be talking
That's-
from the phone and I'll see you
that's fine.
from the computer.
That's fine. So Rhonda, obviously you're able to talk. So is Rob Mann. So is Jim Bellavance. Looks like Steve Herbert is unmuted. And so Rob Words, are you able to talk?
Yeah, I'm here.
Rob Words, are you able to talk?
Can you hear me now, Aaron?
I can. So
Good
you can
evening.
stay unmuted. Just stay unmuted, please. I think that's everybody, right? So all in favor of approving the February 20 minutes as presented signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain?
I'll abstain.
Okay, so this passes. Okay, so this is going to pass 5-0 because Steve abstains. All right, so then we'll move on to March 5th. That's special meeting / public hearing budget workshop, March 5th. I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make that motion.
So Steve's got the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Rhonda's got the second. Any changes to the March 5th minutes? Any changes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the March 5th minutes as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Jim
Aye.
Bellavance.
Aye.
Jim Bellavance has to
Wait.
abstain. I was not there.
So hold on. Sounds like we've got 5 yeses. Any noes? And then-
No.
And then we've got an abstention. So
Yes.
the way it sounded to me is it's 5 yes, 0 no, and 1 abstention. I'm just
That is correct.
I'm calling this out so that for Dottie's sake, so that she can record the minutes appropriately. So then we'll move on to March 12. I'll entertain a motion to approve the March 12 special meeting / budget workshop minutes.
Also move.
So Steve's got the motion on that one. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Rob's got the second. Rob Mann has the second. Any changes to those March 12 minutes? Any changes to those March 12 minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving those minutes as presented signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? All right, so this one passed 6-0. Then we move on to April 2nd. That's special meeting / budget workshop. I'll entertain a motion to approve the April 2nd minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Steve's got the motion. Is there a second?
I'll
I'll
second that one.
second it.
I heard Rob Word seconded that one. Any changes to these minutes? Any changes to these minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes as presented signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? So that was 6-0 approval. I noticed that we have April 6th on our agenda to approve. I didn't happen to see April 6th attached to the email that Dottie sent out. Not a big, did anyone else happen to see April 6th? Not a big deal if we didn't happen to get them. If we didn't happen to get them,
I did.
it's easy enough to just approve them at the next regular meeting. It's a special meeting / budget workshop, not a big deal. Anyone happen to see the April 6th minutes?
Yeah, the April 6 minutes, if you go to the town website, go to meetings
Oh.
and agendas, and then go
Yes.
to either agendas or minutes, and you can call it up from there. But if people haven't seen it, we should probably postpone it till next month.
Yeah, has anyone else seen the minutes for April 6th?
I have not.
So
I have
it's
not
easy
seen
enough. Not a big deal. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't losing my mind and that everybody got April 6th and I didn't. So not a big deal. It's entirely possible I'm losing my mind anyways, but at least I'm not losing it over that item. All right, so we'll move on to the April 9th minutes. I'll entertain a motion to accept the April 9 special meeting / budget workshop minutes.
Also move.
So Steve's got the motion on that one. Is there a second?
Second.
Sounded like Jim had the
Yep.
second. Okay. Are any changes to these minutes? Any changes to these minutes? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes as presented signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? All right, so this one passes 6-0. That concludes minutes for now. And we'll
Aaron?
move on to correspondence. Yep, go ahead, Rhonda.
I just wanted to say that we had also a meeting canceled, regular meeting. I don't know if you want to put that out there or not, but it did come in the form of an agenda for March 19th.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if there were no, and I did see that was part of Dottie's email that she sent all the minutes attached to it. I mean, I guess that doesn't qualify technically as minutes. I guess that's why.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to bring it up just so that everybody knew it was canceled. That's all.
Thank you.
You're
That's,
welcome.
appreciate you doing that. Appreciate you making sure. We'll move on to correspondence. I know that there were some emails going around today about certain items of the budget. Any other correspondence outside of that? I know there was a member of the Board of Selectmen sent out an email. There was a response from the first selectman. Anything else that of course, we got plenty of correspondence from the finance director in the last few days, but that's follow up from things that we requested in previous hearings.
Yeah, the other one, Aaron, this is Rob Wirch. The other was the item from the library that came through the PowerPoint in the overview from the library.
That was from the director of the Thompson Library.
Correct.
Anything else? All right, we'll move on to citizens' comments. If there is a citizen who would like to share a comment, let's see. Looks like we have something here. It's Jessica Bolte, 1081 Riverside Drive, a request for second session of citizens' comments. It's limiting to citizens who have concerns regarding discussions that occur after the only comments allowed at the beginning of the meetings. It creates a delay in citizens' concerns when they can only be addressed at the next meeting. Okay. Are there any other citizens' comments?
Aaron, there's another one from Dick Trudeau.
Oh, here we go. Yep, thank you.
You're welcome.
Aaron says, yes. Oh, hold on. I'm about to read a citizen's comment that just came in writing over this little chat button here. It's from Dick Trudeau, 192 Wager Road. It says, I urge caution and approval of the Thompson budget regarding the anticipated state income to Thompson. When the budgeted expenses are approved, the town is required to fund that amount, regardless of the amount of the state grant amounts provided. The current circumstances put at risk any promised state funding approved last year. That is from Dick Trudeau. Was it John Rice? Was that who was about to make a comment? You're muted at the moment, John. Amy, would you be able to unmute John?
No,
There we go.
unmuted.
You're now unmuted, John.
Okay, because my computer says it's muted, but anyway, 39 East Thompson Road, I just want to make a comment. I believe last month you discussed the roll-off truck for the highway department. I would just like to support the Public Works Director. I think he had a good plan in place. And of course, it's up to you, but I would like to support that program of buying that vehicle outright. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Let's see, this is from Kathleen Herbert. It says, and Kathleen, if you could do me a favor and just type in your street address because you're officially submitting this under citizens' comment. But it says, yes, I also sent an email for the capital expense for the school building, which is a town building. So yes, that was part of correspondence. So thank you for that. And then she goes on to say, I also would like citizens' comments at both ends of the meeting because there are often issues that come up during the meeting that we do not know at the beginning of the meeting. She finishes off with 122 Wilsonville Road, North Ferndale. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Any other citizens' comments? Any other citizens' comments? Okay. We'll move on to Selectmen's update. First Selectman, Amy St. Ives. Amy.
Can everybody hear me? Because I did receive a message saying that my mic was a little bit fuzzy.
It's
Everybody
very
hear me?
fuzzy, very fuzzy, Amy.
Very bad.
Still fuzzy.
Really? If I speak
I wonder
louder,
if-
is that helpful?
No,
No.
I wonder if you would have telephoned in like Rhonda and myself, and I think Rob Word's telephones in as well.
Yes.
Give
So
me a
what I
second.
did, oh, okay.
I'm gonna
Hey,
try
that's a good- Sometimes I remember Robert Word saying that the bandwidth is smaller if you stop video, that it'll come through clearer.
Exactly,
on
Rob.
video.
I think her video's off already, Rob.
Does
It
anybody
suggested
have
we have our video on.
So
Does
Amy,
anybody have the phone number at their fingertips?
Yeah,
I do
have
not.
it, Amy.
Oh, you got it? Good.
It's 301
Wait, hold on.
715
Hold on, Rob.
8592.
301 705.
715 8592.
Okay. And what was the code to get in?
I've got that.
Okay.
I've got the meeting ID. The
And
meeting
it is-
ID is 98040469762. Now, it's going to ask you for a password in addition to that.
Okay.
The password is 718938.
Ah. It didn't work.
So Amy,
Sorry, everyone.
Amy, what I did, do you have the Zoom app on your phone? It takes about 2 seconds to download. And then you can just click on the link that's in your email and it will take you right to the, it'll take you right there on your phone. And then you just shut the volume off on your computer and leave the computer on your screen. If that's helpful.
Maybe we could move on to the school and then come back to the first selectman.
Yeah,
Good idea.
we can do that.
Can everybody hear me now? Oh, wait.
You need to mute your computer, I believe.
Yeah, just turn the volume down on your computer.
Yeah, that's what I do. I turn off the volume of my computer. And then Amy, you'd have to find your telephone number on the list and unmute that telephone number. It probably won't show up as your name. It'll show up as your telephone number.
All right. Oh my God.
It'll shut the echoing off as soon as you turn the volume down.
Right. Amy, did you turn off the volume on your computer? Did you shut your computer speaker off?
I'm sorry, everyone.
You know what, Orla, can you get rid of the screen? I just can't seem to get out of this screen without exiting completely. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you a little better.
A little bit better.
I guess.
Right. Only because I cannot get out of the screen that I'm in for Zoom. And my update isn't that long, if that's helpful. Can everybody hear me okay?
Maybe if you speak slowly, it would help.
How about now? Can everybody hear me now?
Well, this is Steve.
We can hear you.
I can hear you, but it's not very good.
It's distorted. So
That's very
what's going to happen is at some point we'll need to get that sorted out, because when we get into the budget workshop portion of the meeting and we seek input from folks who have interest in various parts of the budget,
If
when
have
you
it
go to
written
speak,
down
we'll
on the screen.
still have this issue.
Erin, could you, now that I'm able to get to my speakers now, why don't you move on to the Board of Ed, and I'll get logged in. If Orla can just stop, not show anything on the screen, because that keeps me from, maneuvering. So
Amy, can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
I wonder if you want to move the host to Orla right now so you can disconnect completely and then log in.
No, I think I really will be fine as soon as, I just couldn't get my speakers to turn down, and now I can turn them down because my screen isn't blocked by the spreadsheet.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know if you leaving the whole meeting might refresh everything, and then, but I know you're the host, so if you wanted to flip it to Orla temporarily.
No, I think if we just move, we'll just move on to the Board of Ed, and then I'll jump in as soon as I'm ready.
So here's the problem. I don't know if anybody else noticed, but when Allison spoke, it sounded like there was a great deal of that echoing feedback. I don't
That's
know if
correct.
that has something to, but before everybody else speaks, I don't know if that has something to do with Amy's poor connection. I don't know if that was a result of Amy's poor connection picking up Allison's voice and then kicking it back into the system. I don't know. I'm not an IT person, but I think Allison raised a good point. We know that Amy's connection has a problem. It might be a good idea for Amy to try disconnecting completely and then reconnecting. I don't know if that would work. It reminds me of, back in the days when we all had TV sets and you'd hit it on the side to make it work. Who knows why it made it work better, but it did. So maybe that would be the answer in this case. I don't know. But in the meantime, we can go on to.
I'll just jump out. I'll jump out and the meeting can continue.
Let's see how that works.
Okay.
So in the meantime, we'll move on to school district update. Superintendent of Schools, Melinda Smith. Melinda.
Hello, everyone. We'll talk about enrollment first. Our enrollment currently stands at 972 students. We're down one student from last month, Holding steady at 433 students at Mary Fisher, 323 students at Thompson Middle School, and we're down one student at Lot Memorial, down to 216 for a total of 972. Just for a notation, our October numbers, when we submit our report to the state,
Hey, boys.
were 973. So we're only down one student from the beginning of the school year. Since the beginning of the school year, since August, I have been reporting a deficit in the special education line. We currently have a deficit in that, an overall deficit in our budget of $350,821. That's significantly down from the projection that we had given you earlier, which was up near $500,000. And the decrease is really due to the due diligence of our pupil service director, our principals, and our teachers developing programs for students and keeping more students home. I do want to emphasize at this time that the district is not projected to save any money during our closure, during this health crisis. We are seeing some savings, a small amount in fuel and electricity. However, Governor Lamont's Order 7R is requiring us to pay vendors and employees to keep them whole. The BOE will be meeting with our legal counsel next Tuesday to discuss that particular order. And so I don't have any more details that I can share with you this evening, but I want you to know that the Board of Ed is discussing that next week. The other thing that I would just like to highlight is, you know, we closed school on March 13th, and the following Monday, we had most of our middle and high school students on distant learning, almost automatically. We did have to scramble to get devices to our students at the elementary level. We went through a whole process of distribution. We have 4 meal sites set up in town to deliver breakfast and lunches to our citizens. Any student under the age of 18 that lives in Thompson and they don't have to attend Thompson Public Schools may get free meals, free breakfast and lunch. On a daily average, we're serving 250 lunches and 250 breakfasts. We are in partnership with Jill St. Cyr, and it starts at home and Our Father's Table, and they will be helping us fund weekend meals that will start to be picked up on Fridays. And that's about my update for this evening.
Thank you so much, Melinda. Any questions for the superintendent?
This is Steve Herbert.
Rob Wurge. Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead. I think Steve had you beat by a second, Rob. Go ahead, Steve.
And Steve Herbert, Board of Finance. Melinda, I wonder if there's been any, without obviously disclosing any private information, have you actually seen any evidence of the virus at the school or in the staff?
We do have families that are experiencing issues. We haven't had a staff report, but we have relatives of staff who are sick, and we have parents who are sick. And so we know about those families. In some cases, we're doing meal drops at their home on their front steps, but it is starting to sneak into our school community.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead, Rob Wurge.
Melinda, Rob Wurge. I'm just curious, on the governor's order to pay vendors, is that in full, or did they work something out where you're paying, you know, wages and overhead, or is it a full payment even if they're not providing the service? I understand keeping them whole, but do they help define that, or can you share a little bit of that with us?
And so that's part of the conversation that our legal counsel will have with the members of the Board of Ed. But in a nutshell, I can tell you they are giving us a directive to negotiate with those vendors. And that's the information that our attorney wants to bring forward to the Board of Education, because ultimately they're going to have to give me direction on which way to go.
Rob
Great.
Mann.
That's comforting. Thank you.
Go ahead, Rob Mann.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance. I just had a question. I understand they're giving you a directive to pay the vendors, but are the vendors paying their employees, or have they been laid off? That's kind of, if you have to pay them in full, but yet they still laid off their employees and they're not paying their employees in full, it kind of seems like it, you know.
So I'm not at liberty to discuss that now, but that is one of the concerns, Rob.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the superintendent? All right, hearing none. Is Amy reconnected?
Aaron, I'm sorry, I was on mute. I just had
Go
one
ahead, Amy.
comment for Melinda. I just
ahead,
wanted to
Amy.
say great job on getting, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, great job on getting that schooling going online. My son is at Ellis and it did take them several weeks to get that going. So you did a
wow.
really good job getting that going. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you, Rhonda. I had a lot of help, and I can't thank my principals and teachers enough. They just scrambled to make it happen, and we did the best we can. We're still refining it, just so everyone knows. You know, teachers were overwhelmed, parents were overwhelmed, students were overwhelmed at first, and we've backpedaled on some of the expectations to make it more doable. And I think we'll be refining that all along the way.
Well, that's great. So, and also the food service is awesome too. So I just wanted to commend you guys for putting that together so quickly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the superintendent? Any other questions? All right. I don't know if Amy has been able to reconnect. I see her name is up on the screen, but that doesn't necessarily.
Hi, Aaron. Can you hear me now? Yep.
Oh, we can hear you nice and clear.
Much better.
Oh, good. Good, but I did almost have another technological fail because my phone was on 1%.
Okay.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so my report for the town, life at the town hall, 4th week of being isolated. We continue to be closed to the public. We are continuing with altered
I'm
work
not hearing
schedules.
Amy now.
Okay, let me see.
This is
It
Steve.
might be
Amy, I
me.
can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear Amy okay.
Okay.
This is Steve. I can also
So
hear you.
the town hall continues to be closed to the public. We're continuing with altered work schedules to adhere to the social distancing guidelines. Last Friday, we hired ServiceMaster to disinfect all the surfaces within the town hall. And we are scheduled again for ServiceMaster to come and do a repeat disinfection on April 24th. As we all know, Zoom meetings have been taking place. Some of the boards and commissions were a bit apprehensive, but are coming around because, as we know, we may still be in this situation for at least another month. Planning and Zoning did a special meeting today. EDC has done 2 virtual meetings, and the Inland Wetlands Commission will have a test meeting next Wednesday. Certainly been a new adventure. One of the recent executive orders, Executive Order 7S, called for the town to offer one of 2 plans for in sort of a relief for tax payments this year. The Board of Selectmen on Tuesday night chose the deferment plan. And what the deferment plan is what we feel was the fairest and the kindest options for our residents during this financially affected time. What it is our property taxes, which would typically be due on July 1st and would be interest-free until July 31st. There will be an additional 60 days, so a total of 90 days of interest-free, extending the payment to September 30th. So residents will have until September 30th to pay their tax bills this year interest-free. Currently, this also applies to WPCA sewer bills. Typically, it would be interest-free until April 30th, or now interest-free until June 30th. And that's about all I have for today.
Thank you, Amy. Questions for the first selectman?
Rhonda Rooney, Board of Finance, and I may have missed this because I had some technical difficulties on my end. But
Yeah.
has anything come out from the governor regarding the referendum, that there will be, possibly an option for the people to come out and vote? Or is that still going to be closed off? Have you heard anything on that?
To my knowledge, and he's up to, last I checked today, he was up to Executive Order 7AA. He has not altered from that original 7I, which ordered that referendums would be put on hold. But it does still give us the additional 30 days. At this point, the original, which was, I think it was 7B, gave us an additional 30 days to extend our processes. So if you were supposed to have your town meeting on May 4th, it would give you an extra, which was what ours was supposed to be, it would give you an extra 30 days to hit that meeting. So, there's still a chance that we could get it in and we could still do the referendum. It's just going to depend on what the governor does from this point on.
Okay, because I think that, for me, it makes a huge difference whether they come out to vote or not in my decision-making process. So I was just curious as to where we were with that. Thank you.
Right. You're welcome.
Any other questions for the first selectman?
Rob Mann, Board of Finance. Amy, how do they, with the town hall close to the public, how do they make public documents available for people without overwhelming the staff? Like normally somebody could go and look up documents on a pending application or a pending issue, land records and such. What's being done so people, besides the drop boxes and making your employees work more, to give that access? Is there anything, is more being put online, or what's the process?
The process in what respect? Are you saying if someone wanted to pick up a document, or?
Yeah, if somebody wanted to do some research or pick up maps or documents, what's the process right now to get access to those documents or those maps? Not in particular, just anything.
I mean, they could call the office and request it. They could request the documents, and we could either email them if that was an option, or we can hand things out the door. We've done that a few times. We've handed things to people out through the door. If you're referencing anything like special meeting documents that are related to meetings, if it's reasonable and we can do it, then we post it. That's what's been ordered.
Okay, thank you.
I hope that answers your question.
And just so you know, Rob,
even though I'm sorry, Rhonda, go ahead.
I just want to let you know, Renee Waldron just chimed in on chat, and she, she typed in all the different ways that they can access that information.
Okay, let me just see.
Okay.
Email, fax, phone, Dropbox, land records are available online as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Aaron McGarry, Board of Finance. Any other questions for the first selectman?
Rob Wurge, Board of Finance. Aaron, I have a question, and it's regarding the 60-day grace period, the additional 60 days. Amy, is that across the board, or is there any special way of handling those taxes that are escrowed? And some people, many people actually escrow their taxes with their mortgage, and cash flow is important to the town. People that need the 60 days, absolutely. Let's take advantage of the 60 days to help people. But folks that have the funding sitting in the banks, are the banks going to release that? Because I'd rather have it in the town than sitting in all the banks that folks have already paid for. So was there any discussion around that?
I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, and I know Rainey Moran's in there in the meeting right now, so if I'm incorrect and he can type something in, because I don't know that he has audio, well, at least a microphone, if he can type something in, but I believe the banks were ordered to make the payments. I don't believe that so if it's something that's escrowed, I don't believe that it applied to them. So they were ordered to make their payments as normally.
Perfect. No, that's terrific. Good to hear. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Amy,
Any
Rhonda
additional
Rooney.
questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Rhonda.
Sorry, it's a little delayed. I just
No,
wanted
go
to
ahead.
know too, and I got this, I don't know, from the town of Thompson, but it did say important notice for elderly and disabled homeowners in Thompson. Please disregard any notice from the assessor's office to reapply for the elderly disabled tax relief program. The
Correct.
state of Connecticut has suspended the reapplication fee requirement, so that's a good thing. I just want to put it out there for those that might be listening.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, that was something that they passed in one of the executive, I don't remember which executive order. I think it was Y or Z. It was just recently came over and yeah, that was good news for the office as well because we're closed to the public, we haven't been able to meet with the elderly to help them with the application process. So it's nice that it's just going to carry over for the next 2 years for them.
Any other
Amy, I'm
questions
sorry.
for the
Yeah, I
first
do
one?
have one more
Go ahead.
question. Could you explain to me then, as far as, you know, where we are right now? So is there a potential chance that we could do a referendum in like 60 days?
I think if the order gets lifted by May 20th, I think we very well could. That would, we'd have to work really fast as far as getting our notices out. But there again, the problem is that I honestly, Rhonda, I don't think that Connecticut is going to lift it completely. I think they're going to do it in small waves. And I think the
Yep.
general guideline is going to be for our older citizens to kind of stay sheltered in place.
Right.
That's what I'm hearing. If everybody's watched the news, that's what we're hearing from a lot of the various states where, especially New York, Illinois, the other I state. They're kind of thinking that it's going to come out gradually. So, I mean, my feeling and my belief is that if as a board, both Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance, we can work towards a flat budget, as flat as we can make it, as good as we can make it for our town, it may be our only option is just to pass it, because we certainly don't want a situation like we had last year.
Amy, I just want to say, I really appreciate you saying that. I think, you know, there's a lot of pressure on us right now as a board, simply because of that. So I appreciate you putting out that offer to get as close to flat as possible, because I for one, would have a hard time voting for an increase when all this other stuff, as I put out last week. So I do appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I just don't think we're going to have a choice either way. As much as I like to wear my rose-colored glasses, and I do every day, it's looking bleaker. It's just looking bleaker that we're going to be able to get a referendum put together in time. And I don't think the Executive Order 7I is going to be lifted. I just don't.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for the first selectman? Okay, thank you so much, Amy. We'll move on to financial report. Finance Director Orla McKiernan Rafferty.
Hi, Aaron. Hi, all Board of
Hi, Orla.
Finance.
Hi, Erlen.
So I did send out an email today with some information for the budget workshop, and I also put a note in that I realized today I didn't send out the financial reports. Sorry for that oversight. And I did suggest tabling it until the next Board of Finance meeting, which is going to be on, it's going to be on Tuesday, I think. I think that's our next date, correct?
And that's okay with me if it's okay with other members of the board.
Okay.
I'm good with that. I know that Orla has been sending out a lot of stuff to us, following up on our questions and our seeking information. And honestly, I don't know how she's kept track of it all. So if I was her, I would have forgotten to send out what she sent out anyway, myself. Just, I'm okay with skipping this if you guys are.
I am as well, Aaron.
Okay.
Good with Tuesday.
Rob here, I am.
Okay, just one thing of positive news I did want to share. I think I mentioned it, sent it out to Aaron and Rich today. In case you haven't heard, the Bond Commission finally met today. and approved some dollars for us. So it looks like we're going to be getting our town road aid of 253,000, our LoSiP funds of 88, and our municipal road fund of 77. So it's a total of $418,500. So that would be good for Rich and the highway department to spend on continuing to repair our roads this summer.
That's great
That's my
news.
kind of update.
Yep, good
Yes.
news, Orla.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Orla, that's my kind of financial report.
I know, I'll take it.
Orla?
This is Steve from Board of Finance. Just a comment. I think our next meeting is on Monday, not Tuesday.
Oh, Monday, that's fine.
Correct.
Oh, it's Monday now?
Yeah, Monday, the
Coming
20th.
Monday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions for the finance director at this time?
Orla, I do, this is Steve again from Board of Finance. Orla, I wonder if you get a chance, and this is not a high priority, to see how much what our lowest level of cash is over the last 12 months or so.
I'm sorry, could you just repeat your question?
Sure,
Steve?
the lowest level of cash that we
Lowest.
have in town over the last 12 months.
Okay, will do.
Thank you very much. It's not a high priority, but if you get a chance, that would be nice.
Okay,
you.
will do.
Any other questions for the finance director? All right, we'll move on to Turtle Up Fund update.
Thank you.
I'm not sure who officially carries that baton these days.
We miss Joe.
I know. This used to be Joe's thing, and God rest his soul, I miss him.
Aaron,
I guess-
just so you know,
ahead.
I'll just share briefly, the last meeting we were scheduled to have was the 24th of March, and that was postponed. So we haven't met since, but I know this Bill Birch and the other members of the school with in cooperation with Joey Martino and other members of the Turtle Up Trust are busy determining as to what repairs and what jobs and will be carried out at the high school. I have been keeping an eye on the fund. Obviously, it's not in good shape, but it's not as bad as it could be. I'm expecting some more updates next week.
Thank you.
Aaron, Rob Wurge, I'm on the committee as well. I was going to ask Orla if, relative to the fund, were we able to extract some of the money that we talked about putting into the next phase of the project? Did
No,
we
I
get
was
it in
planning
prior
to-
to the collapse?
I didn't do it because we were planning to put it through the budget process, and I was going to do it the 250 and the 250, but boy, am I regretting not pulling it out anyway at the time.
Well, you can't control that. I guess we should take it up with the group separately, but maybe now is the time to pause and not do that until we absolutely need it. So we could take it offline.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to Board of Finance member comments. Any Board of Finance member comments at this time?
This is Steve Herbert, Board of Finance. I wonder if we might add the request we've had from a couple of members of the audience about adding a second citizens comment to our normal agenda.
Thank you. And I know that that was on an agenda back in February. We were going to officially debate that in person, and then some of us couldn't make it. If it's okay with the board, I feel like I just want to get through this budget season because we've got some pretty crucial items in front of us. And I feel like the debate to whether or not to add a second round of citizens' comments might not be quite as crucial as the budget that's in front of us and these important decisions that have to be made. I'd like to get through the budget season, if that's okay with everybody, and then I'd be happy to debate that if everyone's okay with doing it that way.
This is Jim from the board. I have no problem with that.
This is Steve again. I almost feel it's sort of the reverse. This is sort of the bulk of what we work on, and maybe this is a time that's more important to have citizens' comments, especially our difficulty in communication these days. And we'll live either way, but it might be wise for us to allow the citizens to be heard both at the beginning and at the end of our meetings. And I know we're a lot of stuff to do, but it's a lot of stuff that our citizens are interested in and would like to comment on.
Anybody else? All right, any other Board of Finance member comments at this time?
Aaron, Rob Wurge, I have a comment.
Go ahead.
It's just really about level setting for the board and for others. If we're talking, I've heard a few different folks talking about flat budgets and level setting on that. And none of us are sure where we're going to land. But when you think about the reevaluation that we've gone through, if we were at the level set, that does not mean that everyone's tax base is the same, because people's reevaluations were different. So unless your reevaluation was exactly at the average of the town at whole, you're not going to be at zero. Some people are going to be slightly up and some people are going to be slightly down. And so without getting into all of the formulas around that, I want to just highlight that, so people are talking to other people, and if that's a path we're going on, we don't want to be disappointing people if we go flat and they do indeed get an increase in their individual tax bill.
Good point.
Okay.
Rhonda Rooney, Board of Finance. Aaron, if I could make a comment on that. Yeah, I got the average just because it was 16% across the board, ups, downs, and lows. But just to let you know, to concur with what Rob said, if there's any citizens that are on the call right now listening, my personal taxes, if we keep a flat budget, because of the reassessment, have gone up $800 with a flat budget. I had over a 40% increase in my tax bill as a result of the reassessment. So there are some folks that did get hit pretty hard. I would consider myself one of them, and there are some that maybe their house is reassessed at the same value or just, within that 15%. So just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Yeah, Aaron McGarry, Board of Finance. I was going to share this with the board when we kicked off our budget workshop for this evening, but we're almost there. And now that this topic has come up, I actually, this is kind of following up on Rhonda's comments at the beginning of the budget workshop last week, where she was talking about what's going on in the insurance industry, because that's where she makes her living, and what's going on in the general economy. And if you recall, there was an email that was sent out by the tax collector to Rhonda, probably going back about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he was talking about what would happen with a piece of real estate that's assessed at $175,000. And I did a little bit of math on it just to get a sense of what does last year look like versus this year. And again, this doesn't consider the variations that Rob Wurge was talking about, but if you take a $175,000 piece of assessed property in FY20, what was applied to that was a 27.75 mill rate. And so that would have produced a tax bill of $4,856, $48.56. Now, we had revaluation, and the total amount of grand list growth that we had as a result of revaluation was a growth of 15.9%. 15.9%. So that's just, it's a general number. I know that mine went up by more than 15.9%. I'm sure some folks in town, theirs went up by less than that. But if we just take that 15.9%, and we apply it to that same property that was assessed at $175,000 last year, that same property is now assessed at $202,825. So it goes from 175 to 202. Now, recall last year that 175 had a 27.75 mill rate for a total tax bill of $48.56. If we look at the proposed mill rate under this, of course, we haven't made any reductions to it, but this proposed mill rate is 26.5. If you take that same property that's now assessed at 202 and you apply a 26.5 mill rate to it, that gives you a tax bill of $5,374. So that's an increase. That's an increase of $518 in 1 year, year-to-year increase of $518 on this piece of property that's assessed at 175. Again, some were assessed higher than that, some were assessed lower, but at least that gives us a sense of what does this proposed budget do in real dollars to a real piece of property. It's not a wealthy piece of property. It's a piece of, $175,000, 175 of assessed valuation is something that someone who's well within the middle class zone, so to speak, could foreseeably own a piece of property of this caliber. So I think that example applies to a lot of folks in the town of Thompson. Just wanted to share that with everyone.
Well, that'd be about $10 more a week.
Yeah, I know it's $518 a year, so I can tell you that based on the math. Any other Board of Finance member comments?
Yeah, Robert Mann. Yeah, and when we started off, it said that a flat budget, as far as our mill rate goes, would be $23.97. Am I correct with that, Aaron?
Let's see. I know it was, and Orla might be able to confirm, but it was like 23.8 or 23.9 or 23.7 was where we would need to land. Oh, here we go. She's got the spreadsheet handy. 23.97?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Rob, man.
No, that's all. I wanted to confirm that if, we're all talking flat budgets and many people have said it, I just wanted to see what that mill rate number was. That's all. I had it written down before and I wanted to remember it again. Thank you.
So Aaron, Rob, again, if I could, I think to reemphasize what I was saying earlier, if we came in flat and the mill rate was 23.97, call it 24. You just want to be clear that doesn't mean that everyone's taxes are flatlined at 48.52, 48.56, using the example that you had. In that, there'll be a total cross up and down across the population. And those folks that were reevaluated right at the average, if we were at 24, would see 0. Everybody else is up and down from there. So that's just a fact of what we're dealing with. I stress it again because we just don't want to put out that it's flat or X percent or Y percent. It's a complicated year, and we're going to have that again in 5 more years. And I think we just all need to be, well aware of that as we're communicating with the community.
Thank you.
Rob, I have to agree with that. And I'd like to just comment too. I think, we know that there was a reassessment and people in town know, but, a lot of people aren't paying attention to this stuff. So for those that did get a reassessment and they're not really sure what it was, there was a guy knocking on their door. That's pretty much all they know. And then all of a sudden they're going to, like me, for example, if I wasn't paying attention and we had a flat budget and my taxes went up $800, I'd be wondering why. So I think it's, good for us to kind of get that out there in the community. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Rhonda. Any other Board of Finance member comments?
One more thing. When I was talking to Rainey, too, because I had a lot of questions regarding this because it was really complicated to me. But a lot of these people also, their auto insurance, their auto taxes will go down as the mill rate goes down and the value of their car goes down. So what happens during this process, like I thought, there'd be a lot of extra income coming into town as a result of the reassessment. But in reality, because some people have lower taxes, if we were to be flat, some people have higher, and because of the nature of vehicles and the taxes and the value of the vehicles goes down, it really just balances out. So you guys probably already know that already, but just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Rhonda. Any other Board of Finance member comments? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to budget workshop. And I know last week we finished off, in terms of the number of pages, we were pretty deep into the budget. I believe we were in the transfers section. And I can't remember if, let's see, we had gotten past the bridge work / assessment, and we had, I believe we had finished. No, we were discussing the roll-off truck. We may have finished discussing the roll-off truck, but I did want to leave the door open to that because we went over, well over 9 o'clock. And I did say, if anyone wants to continue discussion about the roll-off truck when we come back, that's fine. So I'll go ahead and open up that floor to members of the Board of Finance. If anyone wants to continue that discussion.
I would like to make a comment on that, Aaron.
Go ahead, Jim.
Last week, I spoke in favor of that. Still am definitely in favor of that. It's just one less thing that we have debt service on. If we just, take, I know they set aside $200,000 for the truck. I think Rich had said it was going to be more 193-ish or something like that. But why don't we call it, to keep it easy, $40,000 a year for a 5-year period of time. This doesn't happen very often where the snow plowing and whatnot has this much of a budget left over. And this is a little gift to us. I think the town is looking at, and if Rich can get this thing debt-free, that puts us $160,000 in less debt next year. Like I said, it's money that we were going to spend anyway. It's just we had a very, very warm winter, and I just feel as though this is a little gift given to the town, and I think this is a perfect thing for us to do. I think it makes financial sense.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, I agree. I agree with Jim. I noticed my notes here say he thinks he can get like 22,000, 25,000 possibly for a trade-in on the truck that they currently have. He had asked if last year's truck was paid off in the budget, and Orla, I believe, said it was still in the budget or out of the budget. I'm not quite clarified on that, but that was 35,000. And then he said he had 141,000 left over. So a good deal of the price is already all there. And I suppose there could be ways to work out the rest of it, but it sounds like a brilliant idea to be able to buy something outright instead of financing it little by little.
One quick last comment on that. Being a small business owner, debt is not your friend. And if this is just one little thing that at least is, we can say, hey, we paid cash for this and it's ours, and it really didn't cost us any more because we're taking the snow plow money and using it for that. I just think it's a good business decision.
Anyone else?
Well, Rhonda Rooney, I just wanted to add too, I think, I'm not sure which way I want to go on this, but I just wanted to say I believe that Rich also had mentioned that he would be able to come up with the extra 35,000 somewhere in another part of his budget with equipment repair and a few other categories.
Yep, that is correct.
Rich here. I do have some more numbers if anybody's interested.
Go ahead, Rich.
So I did speak to the dealership that was the low bid on the truck this week, and they came out and did an overview on our existing unit, and they have not gotten back to me on a solid number, but they were somewhere in the 25 to 28,000 is what I was given. So the cost of the proposed truck right now is at 192,000 minus we'll say 25,000. Leaves me at 167. So that kind of closes up the gap a little bit on what excess I need to come up with out of my existing funds. But I'm not going to start a whole nother conversation about that. I just wanted to put that out there. And one thing that I wanted to point out was in regards to my existing debt service for my department. Orla was kind enough today to send me over all the information for what we currently have financed and what we have financed over the past few years. Fiscal 16, let me back that up a little bit. Fiscal 15, the debt service in my department was 58,306, and then that dropped down for a couple of years. Oh, there we are.
Okay.
Everybody can see what I'm looking at. So there wasn't much going on as far as the debt service. There wasn't a lot of stuff being financed until most recently, when I came on board and started showing the need for the fact that our stuff was falling apart and we needed to upgrade some of the equipment before we didn't have it anymore. So now this past year, my department was showing $204,430 for debt service for the year. That dropped. It's going to drop going into this new fiscal year because one of the units will be paid off as of June. So that brings us down. Looking forward, we're going to be at that same amount for a few years before we pay something else off and that drops again. From my personal experiences in life, I'm a dad. I have 4 kids, a wife. We all have our stuff going on at home. We always have to have room for some unexpected thing to pop up. You finance what you have to, and you buy what you can and what you need. In this circumstance, we're starting to get to that point where we're financing a lot more, and I understand the need for that because it keeps the budget down. Going forward into this budget process, we had discussed last week that the current capital expenses were well over $900,000. And my point to this was, if I can pay for this cash out of money that we have on hand, that decreases what was proposed as a $200,000 debt going in. Yes, we're probably not going to pull that money as a whole into next year's budget. It would get broken up into a 5-year finance, but then we're still going to pay interest on it. We have another payment, and that's more debt service that I have to basically absorb for going into the budget process next year. I think we're in a very tough spot this year with budget, as far as with the reeval, with the COVID-19 virus that's looming over our head, and whether or not we're going to be able to have a referendum. I'm trying to do my part to save us money. I'm trying to get money off of my proposed budget. I think that decreasing it by $200,000 is fantastic. And also with being able to get everything that I need from my department without having to increase. So I want to get us away from financing stuff. I'm looking at these numbers in front of me saying, okay, we have $170,000 payment. Well, the last 9-ton plow truck that I purchased was $190,000. So that truck was bought, not this past budget, the year before. So how many years are we going to go before we upgrade another truck? The newest 2 trucks we have are a 2014 and a 2018 or 2019. Prior to that, the newest truck was, I don't even remember, 2009, I think. There's a life expectancy on these. They're tools. Even though they don't have a lot of mileage on it, they get worn out, and it costs more to repair them than it does to replace, unfortunately. So if we're going to get into a program of replacing things before they're absolute garbage and they're unsafe, then we need to figure out a way on how we're going to pay for them. If we keep financing, I could take that $204,000 debt service that my department had this past year and go buy something cash. That's money that we had to put into our budget last year. So if we can work our way out of financing things for 5 years, eventually we can take that money that we would have been putting into payments and actually just pay for it. That's all I got.
Thanks, Rich. McGarry, Board of Finance. Personally, I would like to at least see what a financing arrangement might look like, so that way, whatever decision we make, it's an informed decision. I know interest rates are at historic lows. I don't know what kind of interest rate we could possibly get on a financing arrangement for this vehicle, but I'd be interested to see, and interested to see what the total financing costs would be, and just so that we can take a look at what would it look like if we go one way, what would it look like if we go the other way, and then we can make an informed decision.
Aaron, Rob Borg. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead,
I
Bob.
thought you were done.
No,
I was just going to jump. I was going to jump in and also provide another point of view, which is, you know, we're sitting on. First up, I think the timing's tough to go forward with this just prior to settling the budget. I'd like to do it together with the total budget if we could. We're sitting on a recommended $670,000 increase, and we can't even get close to a flat budget with $670,000 of increase. So my question would be, if we're going to allocate $192,000 here, what are we not going to do on the other side? Because it's about choices, and we're going to have to cut other things elsewhere if we use 192 here. If we went with the financing, I believe the number I saw last time we met together was about $43,000 over 5 years. That would, if we did that, and I don't want people leaving thinking that I'm a proponent of debt. I mean, debt's not a great place to be, but with interest rates low, if we were to finance it at 43, that leaves $150,000 that we now have available towards the 670 that we need to work on. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it really comes down to choices, and this, if we go in this direction, it's a choice we're making, and it's going to make our drive toward a low or flat budget that much more difficult. So I would caution folks to say, good input, good creativity around it. I think we should table it and put it into the totality of the discussion on the entire budget.
Rob and Board of Finance members, I'm looking at the page 8102, and the department proposed 200,000 for the rollover truck, but the Board of Selectmen only proposed the 478. So I don't think that 200 is in the total number. Only the 43 is in the total number. Am I correct with this?
Well,
Orla?
Yes, that is correct, Rhonda. For the selectmen had suggested I check into financing, and as you can see in front of you, the estimate financing for 5 years purchase to lease to own would be $43,478.
Right. So my question is, for the increase for the Board of Selectmen for this year, the 600 and some odd thousand, does that include the 43,000 or the 200,000?
43.
That's what I thought. So, if you will, there's no $140,000 play there, Rob Wurge, because that wasn't included in the factor anyway. So I think Rich is what he. Hello.
Yep. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish.
Well, no, because if I'm incorrect, I'd like to just stop now. So.
No, I was going to interject that you're correct, and it is 43, and I saw that. But if there's $150,000, whether it's in this piece of paper or not, it's $150,000 that we as a group need to decide what to do with. I'm proposing that we perhaps think about putting it toward the $670,000 increase versus toward a truck, and I haven't decided on that. I'm just proposing that we should think about that. I understand that it's not in the actual buildup, but if it's available and we decide to spend it on a truck, that's a decision we're making.
Right.
Then it's no longer available.
So yeah, so I just wanted to explain it so that that money from Salt and Sand would just roll over into the fund balance, if you will, for next year's budget. So that's where that would be parked, if you will. But yeah, okay, we're on the same page then. I just wanted to kind of clarify that. Thank you.
This is Steve Herbert, Board of Finance. I agree with many of the comments made by everybody. I'm a small business owner too. Jim, I agree. A loan can bite you in the butt if you're not careful. Part of running a business or a town for that matter. But interest rates are at the lowest they've been in a long, long time, and to take advantage of those would be something we should consider. I do want to think about the truck independent of the fact that we didn't spend money on salt and snow removal this year. That's money that's not public works money, it's town money. So we might use it. There's a lot of priorities we have in the town. The roll-off truck may be one of the biggest ones. I don't know, but I'm not at this point ready to say, yeah, that's a priority. And the money we didn't have to spend this year goes toward Department of Public Works projects or any particular project right now. We have to look at the overall picture, in my opinion. We kind of consider everything. We really don't get to decide that, gee, snow money only goes toward trucks or something. I think that's something that's, you decide on the truck itself, and then we figure out how we are going to pay for it, whether it's taxes or loans or whatever. Thank you.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance. Yeah, I agree. I think we should look at the financing as an option. We have to discuss all of the options, not just choose one option. Even though Rich's creativity, I think we all love. We love that he wants to do the best he can and with what he has and what he can do with. But we do have to all think outside the box this year and make those options all available.
I just wanted to add too, the money going back into fund balance. We also need to, and then this is totally on a different subject, but Melinda had just mentioned that there's a good chance they're going to be short about 350,000 in this year's budget. So that money would come out of fund balance or, potentially lower that amount as well. So thank you.
Aaron McGarry, Board of Finance. I did want to read something that Amy Sanders put into the chat platform that I thought was worth sharing here. It says, Orla, with everything going on, do you think interest rates might be lower? For GM, almost all the auto companies are offering historic rates. 0% for 84 months, almost across the board. We may get an even better interest rate than what was quoted when we wrote the budget. And then she mentions the money that's left in the snow removal, which Steve had just pointed out. That's when Rob Ward was talking about, a chunk of money and what to do with it. I know that's where that money had come from. It's the leftover in the snow removal. But to Amy's point, we might be able to get 0% for 5 years. 0% is free money. I don't mean free as in you don't have to pay it back. I mean, there's no interest rate. There's no interest cost. It's quote unquote free money. So Orla just put into the chat platform, true, and we'll look into revising that number tomorrow. So just echoing what others said, let's take a look at all our options before we make a final decision on this one.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on the roll-off truck at this time? So the final item, the second to the last item on this list that we're working through in transfers is salt shed. And I know we discussed this earlier in a previous budget workshop. If anyone has any discussion they want to conduct on the salt shed at this time, that's fine. It's the next item here on the list.
Aaron, I'd like clarification on what it is. Is that a salt shed, or is it a review of a salt shed, or part of a salt shed, or is it the salt shed?
This is Steve. It's actually the design for the salt shed. The salt shed itself, I think, is guesstimated at $400,000. So this is just the initial work on it.
That's what I thought. So we should. Sorry, Steve. I would just encourage us to mark it accordingly, much like we changed the bridges. We're not doing bridges for 50,000. We're assessing them. I think it would be important here to note that.
And so this would be appropriately referred to as what, salt shed design or salt shed site work? What are we calling this?
Initial cost maybe, or something like that, to make it a little generic.
Aaron, if you see documented below, I've noted design work would be approximately
Oh,
50,000.
yeah. Okay. All right, I'll call it, in my book, I'll call it salt shed design.
If the estimate is 400, sorry, this is Steve from the Board of Finance. If the estimate's $400,000, we've only got 300 allocated in this tentative budget.
This is Rich. I have a question. Not to put Steve out, but I want to know where that initial cost estimate came from because it didn't come from me.
I actually did. It came from you.
No, sir. That did not come from me.
Yeah.
Meaning the $400,000?
Orla, what page are we on?
We are on
115.
Thank you.
Yeah, correct.
Rich, this is Steve again. If it wasn't from you, I thought it was, but I know it was discussed last year at the Board of Selectmen's meeting as a guesstimate at 400,000. So I thought you'd brought it up, or perhaps not.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance. As I recall, I think the initial number they had given was 400,000, but I think that something changed in the design or what Rich wanted to do or what somebody else wanted to do. Just in the back of my mind, I have that popping up for some reason. Thank you.
So is that a lingering question? Do we not know if this is going to cost $400,000 or not?
Well, the financing shows, or the scheduled requirements for funds are 300. The verbiage says approximately 400. One way or the other, it's in that ballpark, I guess, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the design work would probably flesh that out for us.
Okay. Any other discussion on this salt shed?
I
Any
have a
other
question.
discussion? Go ahead,
Oops,
Ron.
am I up? Yeah. So the salt shed here, we're looking at the capital. So they're requesting $50,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in last year, we didn't put anything in for that, right? So this is an additional amount. And last week, Rich, you had mentioned that you weren't sure if you were going to get to this project this year. Is that correct? Or
I said that I hadn't gotten to it yet. If I can start off with what I initially requested for my capital requests, I requested initially $500,000 for road work. The Board of Selectmen put in this request for the 50,000 for bridge work, bridge design, and also for the salt shed design. Because of conversations that I had with Amy, with Ken in the past about, having to do some of this stuff. So they had thought, and I'm not discrediting this, I'm just saying that they had thought that this would be an opportune time to modify the budget, what I had proposed, to put some money towards both of those very important things that need to get done. Which is why there's some discrepancies in the descriptions, because I did not actually write them. As far as the $50,000 goes for the salt shed project, there is a process that we need to begin to move forward to get this going. The ultimate goal is to construct a facility that is ecologically friendly. So we are not polluting the aquifer or the water source that Connecticut Water uses that's within a quarter of a mile of my facility. In doing that, there's some the DEP permitting, and there's some site plans that need to be done, designs that need to be drawn, engineering that needs to be done, and all of this is going to cost money. So that is what the $50,000 is for, to start the process off. The initial cost associated with building the facility that was on that last page we were looking at that said 400, I believe that was based off of Ken Beausoleil's thoughts of putting up one of those tent style buildings, which I am totally against. And I understand that his thoughts for that were to try to save the town some money. There's a multitude of reasons why I do not feel we should go that route, even though we would be able to house the salt underneath that roof. The problem comes to the ability to load and unload trucks inside the building and to contain every grain of salt that comes onto the property within the building, and also the longevity of the building with snow loads and experiences that I have been through working for DOT with watching those facilities collapse under a heavy snow load in the wintertime. So I don't want to spend all of that money and then watch the thing sitting on my pile of salt and then having to hire a company to come in and rip the cover off of it so we can get to our salt and then not have any way to store it. Currently, we house 600 tons of salt, which will get us through about 1.5 storms. So if they're back to back and we can't get a delivery, we're in trouble. The proposed facility would be what the there's a Salt Storage Institute, which is a group that is nationally accredited and also looked at for insight for state and federal salt storage facilities. And they recommend that a safe number for you to have in stock at all times is what you would normally use in 1 year. So my plan is to house 1,500 to 2,000 tons on site, which is our yearly, my yearly contract that I sign up for is 2,000 tons, which we have a requirement to purchase at least 1,000 of those. So I actually signed our state contract 2 days ago for 2,000 ton. That's what we sign up for every year to lock in our pricing. It's due before the middle of May. And that's the amount that I'm planning on housing, is that 2,000 ton. That way, if we do have a rough winter, all of our material is already sitting under our roof and we're not waiting for somebody to deliver it. In the past, a couple years ago, when it actually snowed, DOT ran out of salt, all the towns ran out of salt, everybody was scrambling, there was no salt deliveries coming in, and it basically came down to, a money thing. When the stuff came off the boat, if you were the bigger person, you got the material. And unfortunately, a small town like us that can only house 600 tons and doesn't have a deep pocket, we're not at the top of that priority list. That's not my largest concern. My main concern is ecological impacts, which we are already staring down an issue and need to do something about it.
Thank you.
Rich, if I ask Steve from are you suggesting that it needs to be a higher priority than this 50,000 indicates, or not? I'm not sure I follow you.
I'm saying it's going to take time to pull this all together. If I was ready to build a facility right now, I'd be sitting here asking you for probably closer to $750,000. So, and that is for the cost of the building, the site work, the remaining planning, any excess permitting, asphalt, lighting, security, fencing. It's the initial cost of putting something like this up, we're going to be looking at about $400,000 just for the building. That does not have electricity to it, that has no lighting, that has no cameras, no fencing. None of the site work is done. This is the cost of the building constructed. So that's why I say the initial cost estimate of $400,000 is not complete. So the cost we're looking at here is way more than the 300 or 400, whichever number you want to pick. I would say that you're looking, you're suggesting. My guesstimate would probably be someplace around 600 to 650,000 complete.
Okay, thank you.
Rich, one question. So with the time frame that you have, as far as before the salt is contaminating the water, what are we talking about here from start to finish? How many years do you have to make sure that you have this new salt shed put up before we are having huge issues with regard to that?
Basically, this is something that needs to be done. The sooner the better. Unfortunately, with the burden that is laid on my back with having this position in general, and without having, there's not another person standing behind me pushing me along. Most of the stuff that has to do with the highway department goes through myself, and there's some other decision-making factors such as the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen and the First Selectman. But everything that is basically happens at the highway department goes through me, and there's nobody there to assist. There's no building, no person to help me with the building. There's nobody that has extra time to help me make, ups and downs of all this stuff. So basically, it needs to happen. I'm unfortunately very overwhelmed with the requirements of what I need to get done on a regular basis to just continuously add to my pile. Is there a time limit on what needs to be done? I will say that Connecticut Water already has a binder of information that they have been monitoring for a few years in regards to increased sodium levels that are possibly coming from our facility. So that is why I pointed it out in the first place. That information was provided after I pointed it out, realizing once I came into this role that I was now in charge of a ecological nightmare that was within, I'd say, 500 yards of a public drinking water source. And I wanted to point that out at the time as a very large concern of mine, along with many other things that I had saw from taking on this position that have been overseen or just not been tended to over the years because of lack of a forward-thinking person that sat in my seat. So yeah, basically it needs to be done along with about 50,000 other things in this town.
Okay, well, so it's something we need to start planning for, budgeting for, that it's going to be a huge capital expense.
Correct.
So that's really, what I wanted to put out there. I mean, you could come back to us next year and say, I need 750,000. We need to get the salt shed up this year. And that's that, because now it's polluting the town's water.
Correct.
So this seems to be an urgent, very urgent type of thing. So I just wanted to recognize that. Thank you.
This is one of the reasons why I would like to point out my thoughts of not financing more stuff right now than we have to, just because this is coming in our direction and it's going to have to get done in the next few years. We need to start working on it now, but within a couple of years, we're going to have to figure out how we're going to pay for this.
Rob Wurge, if I could jump in.
Go ahead.
Why not consider an assessment so we have a full understanding of what the risk is? The do nothing path risk, meaning when I say do nothing, not do nothing forever, but if we don't do something today, what's our risk going to be 6 months, 12 months, 5 years down the road? Until we know that, it's going to be really hard to know where to prioritize this. If the risk is a $5 million liability in a year to the town, then we got to get on it right now. If the risk is lower and there's a longer time horizon, then we have more time to plan. But just from listening to this conversation, we're not quite sure what it's going to cost. It's not going to be 300 or 400. Could be 600 to 700. And I don't get a sense that we really know the risk ahead of us. So I guess I would propose maybe asking Rich or Rich and Amy to go back and maybe look at what it would cost to do that assessment so that we can make a more informed decision. I know it has to be done, but the informed decision would be around, how soon does it have to be done? And what's the risk to the town if we don't move forward quickly?
Rob Mann, Board of Finance. Yeah, 2 years ago that they had a strong sense of urgency in conversation. So now the time has passed. I know we tried to tuck away a little bit of money, I thought, for this project, but definitely the 50,000 has to be used for design. I believe as soon as possible, so we know what we're gonna face for costs, because every year that goes by, remember, $600 or $650,000 this year. 2 years from now could be $1 million.
And it has to be new? Do we look at alternatives? Can we repair what we have? Can we make it safe around it so that we don't continue to migrate and leach? I mean, there's experts in these fields that could give us those kind of options. And maybe the only option is new, but I think it would be good to explore those kind of options if we're talking about something of this magnitude and this type of dollars.
One of the things that I'll catch you up on, Rob, is the fact that I'm going off of a model that's based off of the town of Woodstock. The town of Woodstock experienced an issue where they are located within a quarter of a mile of a dairy farm, which is no longer in business. Unfortunately, the town of Woodstock put that farm out of business because of tainting their water and also the water of the residents close by. You can also look up the account of the state DOT salt shed on 171 in Woodstock Valley that also has the same issue. And one of the problems that was found specifically with Woodstocks is the containment of the salt all the way around. So when I order salt, it comes in on either a triaxle or a dump trailer, trailer truck, whatever. So they'll back up. And our current situation is our buildings, the two small buildings that we have, one will hold 400 tons of salt, the other one will hold 200. So combined total is 600 tons. In order to get the material inside or under the roof of the building, the companies have to dump it in front of the building on the asphalt pad. And then our machine pushes it into the building and stacks it up to the ceiling height as high as we can get it so we can fit as much as we can in there. The problem with that is there's no way to get all of it in the building without leaving something behind on the asphalt, and then it rains and then it washes down. The current buildings that we have are within, I think, 35 to 40 yards of the brook, which runs right through the well field for Connecticut Water, which is about 300 to 400 yards south of us on the opposite side of Route 200. We have test wells on site. They do fluctuate in sodium content and other contents. We're using salt that is treated salt now, so it's treated with magnesium chloride. So there's gonna start to see elevated levels of that. Woodstock's approach, after spending a lot of money on attorneys and engineers and so on, was to go through the process that I'm beginning now, which is to design a building that is self-contained. The trucks come in, they dump the material inside the building, and then when we load our trucks, they also get loaded inside the building, and then they leave and they go off and they do their thing. And when they come back, they unload inside the building. Everything that happens right now happens outside the building, which is one of the largest issues. There's no containment. And a new storage facility has a liner within the 2 layers of asphalt that is what makes up the floor. That liner keeps any seepage from that salt stockpile that's sitting there. Any moisture that gets into that will not allow it to soak into the ground. That's what the liner prevents it. It'll hold it where it's supposed to be, and any moisture that enters the building has no place to go but to dissipate and evaporate on its own. There's no drainage inside the building, and the grade on the inside of the building, it's graded into a very minute bowl. So all moisture that is on the floor, the only travel it has is basically to the center of the building, where the airflow within the building has basically will dry it up, so it does not escape the building.
So it has a bladder.
Yes.
And what we have now has nothing, right? I mean, it's basically, if you were gonna do anything, you'd push it back as far as you could. You'd have to put hay bales to try to contain some leaching, but it wouldn't really do much.
We typically use sand at the doorway to create a berm. So it tries to we try to retain as much as we can, but unfortunately the town started using salt on its own about 6 or 7 years ago. Prior to that, it was a salt sand mixture. DEP has since basically made us not use salt sand because of the sand's damage to the waterways and such. So now it's straight salt, and the salt that we use it's salt that is pre-treated with magnesium chloride, which it helps to inhibit the melting process.
It's Jim Bellavance, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Jim.
I know Rob Mann mentioned that we talked about this a couple of years ago. We've been talking about this. I've been on the board for 4 years now, and it's been brought up every year. I think this is one of the town's biggest challenges is to get this building up and going, because my goodness gracious, if all of a sudden we start having issues with the properties surrounding around the Public Works Department, and there's contamination, boy, oh boy, oh boy, we are going to be in a lot of trouble. And the price of this this salt shed will be nothing compared to the litigation that we would go through. I really think we need to, as a town, we need to put this on a top priority list. I really think this is a contamination that could turn out to be a huge, huge nightmare. I know we're not going to do it this year, but if we can get all of our ducks in a row this year, get the plan and the blueprints and the permits and get ourselves ready to go, I really feel as though we need to dive into this thing next year, guys, and get this done. This is this could be an absolute nightmare if this salt leaches into people's drinking water.
This works, Rob Ward. Jim, how do we know that? If we've been talking about it for 4 years, and it's that big of a problem, but it seems like we shouldn't be here not having started 4 years ago. So how do we know what the true risk is? And trust me, I've been on remediation.
Oh no, I completely agree with you.
But if we don't really know what the risk is, we don't know how to react. And if we don't get an understanding of the risk and the options, which one could be a new building, there could be other options, but understand the different options to mitigate that risk. To me, that feels like the next step to be able to make a really good decision on, do we go fast and do we go big, or do we go slow and do we go small? I don't know. Sitting here, we don't know if we don't really have a grasp on the true risk in front of us. And not doing anything would feel irresponsible. Like, after having this conversation, we should be doing something to at least understand the kind of risk that the town could be under.
I think your comment about making a study on this, we absolutely should move forward with that, and sooner than later, because what's ended up happening in the past years, everybody kept putting it on the back burner. And 4 years have gone by, nothing has been done, and I completely agree with you. I'm not interested in spending $600,000-$700,000 if we don't have to. But I think what we need to do is have an environmental study done. Let the experts tell us what's going on, and if they tell us you better be moving forward with this, I think we need to just get on with it and do what we got to do. But I agree 100% with doing a study. This way here, we know exactly what we got in front of us, and we can make a very smart decision. But we can't sit on our hands anymore. I think that's basically what I'm saying here, is let's find out exactly where we're at and make a decision and not screw around with this.
Thanks, Jim.
Rhonda Bruni, Board of Finance, I agree. And I really do like what you bring to the table, Rob Wurge, as far as, getting the facts. and then moving forward with the options at that time.
To answer a
Thanks,
couple other
Brenda.
questions, Suzanne Witkowski just put in the chat about the grant funding, and we did actually look into this. Tira was very diligently looking at it for a month or two, going through different sources as far as government funding and such, and what it could possibly be covered by. And I think she came up with a dead end. There were some possible, I believe there was one possible, maybe partial funding, but partial was like, I think it might have been like less than what we're looking to use for planning. And I don't think she's given up on that yet. It's just that she's kind of been busy with a few other projects, but she wasn't getting any valuable information out of the grant sources that through the state that were recommended to her. And also Amy had just messaged me about talking to Marla, and I think that in the essence of not creating a larger argument about the current situation, most people here know that our wetlands agent Marla was employed by DEP, and she's a very smart woman when it comes to a lot of this stuff. And I'm thinking that maybe with some of her contacts from DEP, maybe she could put us in the right direction as to who to talk to, or a company that maybe we could hire that isn't going to make this like a long-standing project. Because like anything else, the more you want to establish a committee and do a research project on things, that makes it take longer and longer. So I'm thinking maybe we could probably get some of these questions answered, or get pushed along to somebody that can answer our questions sooner than later by asking the appropriate people.
Yeah, that would be great.
I'll send Marla an email tomorrow in regards to this, and I'll CC Amy into this and anybody else that wants to be. Just asking what her thoughts are on who we could either commission or at least speak to put us in the right direction to figure out where we are at with this and what we have for a time frame.
Thanks, Rich. Aaron McGarry, Board of Finance. Yes, I would say, of course, any outside funding we can possibly secure in support of a project like this would be welcome. Even if it just covers the design, whatever is out there, if there's anything out there, that would be great. Any other discussion on this item before we move on? Next item on the list is Bull Hill. Department proposed 100,000, selectmen proposed. There's nothing here, so at least as far as selectmen proposed, I'm not sure where the conversation on this would go, if there would be any, because the selectmen's proposed is none.
So this is Leslie Muncher, our Recreation Director. So I can just make a comment and a note on it, and I fully agree and support with the selectmen's decision. So coming in new this year, there was a study done prior to my arrival by UConn students regarding the Bull Hill area, which, if you're not familiar, is just currently having some major drainage and irrigation issues, and pretty much unusable in the spring. We took that study, which was initially an estimate of 500,000, and presented that to the Board of Selectmen, but it's a few years old, and just we feel that we could also research some other options and do further research on this subject. But we wanted to just put it in this year as something to say that it's still kind of on the table and something that we're looking at as far as the Recreation Commission and myself. To this area is a great asset to the town, a beautiful area, and we definitely want to do some more research to make it more usable for our youth and for the soccer program. And we do know that there's NECOG is also interested in seeing us improve this area for further use. So although there's nothing proposed for this year, we wanted it to just show that it is still kind of on our radar as a future project after more research is done.
Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any discussion on this item before we move on? Okay, so that gets us through the bottom of the list under transfers.
This is Steve. Aaron, we did get the capital item from the school. I think there was an email sent. I don't have it in front of me, but that probably should be considered as capital items as well. That's a question.
Certainly, capital items to the extent to which the Board of Finance decides to either accept or not accept any or all of them. But I know that we have in front of us, at least as far as the budget booklet goes, debt retirement, contingency. I don't know if folks want to just get through the booklet before we get to the Board of Ed budget and how we either break it out or take it all as one or what.
Well, this is Steve again. I'm not sure either, but I think the number is of $155,000 worth of capital items for town-owned buildings. So we can argue about, and we should discuss whether it's a town or a school cost, but we do need to think about that.
Yeah.
Jim Belvance, Board of Finance. How has capital improvements for the schools been handled in the past up till right now?
Paula?
Hi, Aaron. In the past, these typically kind of improvements have come out of the building budget for the school.
Meaning they were in the school's operating budget?
Correct.
Got it.
I think before we go in and just think about this one item that they're asking to move over to the government side of things how do people feel, how do other people on the board feel about this? Having the school not being, basically what you're doing is you're opening the door to have the town government side pick up all the tabs for improvements and repairs. Is that basically what we're doing? Are we opening that door?
No. No.
Hold on, this is a Board of Finance discussion. And a member of the Board of Finance just asked other members of the Board of Finance what they think.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance. I think that the general idea of the whole situation is a good idea because it doesn't lead to the minimum budget requirement at the school, and that's the thought with it. Where if we give them, I'm just going to vague numbers. If we gave $200,000 to the school for them to do a repair, then the following year they automatically get that $200,000, even if they're not doing the repair again, and they use it for another budget item in their budget. So there's no control over, after the first year when that money's used for that first project, there's no control over where that money goes after that. They make those decisions in their budget, which of course get approved by us. I mean, so technically we do have some say in it, but the number always goes up, 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 up. It's a way that I guess the Board of Finance and the town, even the town side, the selectmen, if it's in their budget, can make the decisions of what the critical areas of the school is also. So it opens the window for the town to also have more control over the school. At the same time, it makes it so the MBR for the school budget doesn't go up on its own every year.
Again, this is Steve, and Jim, I appreciate your looking at the history, but we're sort of inconsistent. We sort of do things for the library in terms of their capital improvements. We even fund those ahead. From the school, we probably should take a look at them. At least that's my initial thought. That's maybe something that does belong as it's a town responsibility because the buildings are owned by the town. Repairs, the fine line, there is a difference, I think, between repairs and capital improvements, but where it's a capital improvement, I think there might be a reason to consider it separately. You know, in other words, on the general budget that we look at. But worth discussing, I think, one way or the other.
Aaron?
Go ahead, Rhonda.
Okay. I was just curious, you know, we did look at possibly funding, you know, the new roof. The school needs a new roof. Is that under capital currently, or is that where we have that, or is that in the school's budget? Because that would be, is that considered a repair or is that considered a capital expense, I guess would be my question.
I can answer that, Rhonda. This is Orla. So this
Okay.
particular project is going to be reimbursed by the state as a school construction project. So this is treated as a capital project in order to be able to receive funding from the state for it. So as it stands at the moment, that will the plan is for that project at 4.7 million to be a capital project.
So that's on the
budget.
So that's not on the school side, that's the town side, correct? If you
Correct.
will, breaking it up. Okay.
Yes.
So I guess we need to determine this, what are the size of capital projects as opposed to repairs? Because of course you wouldn't want a capital project of this magnitude to be in the school budget, obviously. So just my thoughts.
Rob
Rob
Mannigan.
Wurch, do we? Sorry,
Go ahead,
Rob.
Rob.
I was going to ask a simple question of, do we have an opinion on whether the MBR includes capital or not? Because in the case of the roof, we're saying, we moved that over as like a separate kind of special item. But then on other capital stuff goes through the school. Do we have anybody on the line that or in the group that knows if that's a fact or not, that the MBR is impacted by capital?
And who would be the best person to answer that? Would that be Melinda, or would that be Bob, or would that be Kathleen?
Aaron?
Someone's either muted, Aaron.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
Aaron,
Rhonda.
I would think that Bob can answer that, but it does roll into the MBR if it's in the school department's budget, but Bob can speak better to that.
Hi, the MBR is based on expenditures within the school, So no matter what the school spends money on out of the school's budget is included in the MBR. The capital project for, say, the roof, which doesn't come out of the Board of Ed budget, it's not paid for out of the Board of Ed budget, does not get included in the MBR.
Okay, Rob Mann, Board of Finance. So I think my biggest concern about this whole discussion is that, so the Board of Ed is asking for the town to take over some school projects, but at the same time, wouldn't that make it so the Board of Selectmen would make the decisions on what the capital projects would be at the school, rather than the Board of Education deciding what goes on or what happens on the school building? Such as if the Board of Education decided to go forward with a solar project at the school on the roof, or the Board of Selectmen decided to go through with a solar project on the roof that the Board of Education didn't like, wouldn't there be some kind of friction and not agreement with two different entities of the town not agreeing on a certain issue? Because in the past, they've had projects where the Board of Education didn't want them, but then the Board of Selectmen did want them. So that's just a thought also.
Who's the best person to speak on that behalf? Is that Kathleen or Bob or Melinda? Or Orla? I don't know. Or Amy? I don't know.
I can speak to that. I believe I would not anticipate having a problem, Rob, with that. I think we communicate well between the boards. I don't anticipate there being friction. we would recommend to the Board of Selectmen projects, as I did. You received a sheet of projects that we recommended needed to be done at the school, capital projects. We would recommend these projects be done. A major project, such as a solar project, being a solar array, would have to go to the building committee. We as a school would never put that in our budget. That would go to the Board of Selectmen and go through a building committee, such as the roof did. So we would not put up anything to that magnitude. The school itself, which up until this year has been putting through capital projects through their bill, through our budget, and the MBR has been picking up these projects. We would never put something to that magnitude through our budget. So anything of a huge magnitude would go to a building committee through the town. Okay, does that answer your
Thank you.
question?
Yes, very well.
Okay, thank you.
And has there been discussion with the Board of Selectmen, current Board of Selectmen, with taking on these responsibilities? Have they had a vote on or had any discussion on taking these responsibilities on from the school?
Not that I am aware of. No, we have not done that. This has been something that we have just recognized, and we were perfectly happy to discuss with the Board of Selectmen prior, but this is, this just came to our attention that these are actually, yes, we did talk to Amy. I'm sorry, we did talk to Amy prior to this shutdown, so that would have been March 12th. We had a discussion with Amy in a meeting about the masonry project to the middle school, about that being picked up by the town. But other than the other projects, no, we did not. And we'd be perfectly happy to discuss that with the Board of Selectmen about moving that over to their side of the Capitol. It all comes out of the same pocket in the end anyway. And it would behoove the town to move it over there to keep it out of the MBR, as you said.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Aaron, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Rhonda?
Go ahead, Rhonda.
So I do recall, I believe it was last year, and I can't remember where we went with this, but where if there was any money left over in the school budget, which obviously there's not going to be any this year, but if there was going to be any money left over in the budget, that we were going to allow them to start a fund, and I think that money would be used for capital expenses down the road. Is that correct, Kathleen?
Yes, it is, but it also could be used for major repairs, like remodeling bathrooms or other repairs and upgrades that that typically are not considered capital projects.
Okay,
So, yeah, but we're far from that, Rhonda, right now.
Yeah, right now we are, but it gives the school an incentive to try to save a little bit of money towards those projects because they can actually keep it in there. So,
but when we get to that point, we can discuss that. Right now, I think we're a couple years down the road from that.
I think
with
so,
our
too.
special education costs.
I just wanted to throw it out there because Rob
Yeah,
may
I
not be aware of
appreciate
that.
that.
Yeah, no problem.
But when we get to the school budget next week, I will explain everything we're doing to save every penny we can. Okay, or cost control every penny we can on our special education costs, but that's for next week. Thank you.
Any other thoughts on this item among Board of Finance members? I'm looking at the clock and I'm seeing it's 9 p.m. Maybe this is a good time to adjourn for the evening. I know last week we kind of tried to push through a couple more items quickly, and it kind of didn't go quickly, and I had people on this Zoom meeting until 9:30, and so I want to try and stay true to my promise of concluding at 9 p.m. And in addition to that, the governor's executive order gives us an extra 30 days to get our budget done. So if we don't happen to get it done by the last Thursday of April, as we typically try to, it's not the end of the world. We've got a little extra time. So if it's okay with you guys, I think maybe we should adjourn for the evening. So if somebody wants to make a motion to adjourn, I'll entertain that.
Motion to adjourn. Rob Mann.
So Rob Mann just made a motion to adjourn.
I'll
Is there a
second that.
Jim's got the second. All in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? So that's 6-0. We've adjourned for the evening. It's now 9:03 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Our next meeting is at Monday at 7 p.m.
Sounds great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
folks.
you.